All our stories are created for entertainment purposes only.
I remembered this forum from a few years back when I recommended it to a friend who was dealing with his wife's infidelity. Little did I know, I'd be the one seeking advice here now. Life has thrown me a devastating curveball, and I find myself here. Please forgive me if my writing is not very clear right now. I'm in a state of shock and overwhelmed by pain, which makes it hard to write without making spelling and grammar mistakes. I've just discovered that my wife is having an affair. To make matters worse, the other person involved is my own brother. He was not just a brother, but also my best friend, the best man at our wedding. This betrayal has unleashed a roller coaster of emotions in me. I'm seething with rage at both of them for this betrayal, and I'm also feeling incredibly sad and depressed because the reality I thought I knew is now shattered. Here's some background information. I'm 42, my wife is 39, and my brother is 50. We've been married for 16 years and together for 18. She was quite young when we married, but she has always been more mature than her age. We have 4 wonderful children, 3 sons and a daughter. Perhaps not crucial, but my brother has been single for 2 years now, with 4 divorces under his belt by the age of 50, technically 48. I found out about the affair purely by chance. A few hours ago, I saw them at the shopping mall, holding hands and kissing. They didn't notice me or my oldest son, but we witnessed the entire painful scene. It was traumatic for both my son and me. He was about to confront them, but I stopped him. Instead, we went for a drive, shared our feelings, and cried together. I did most of the crying while my son is filled with anger. We've now returned home, and I've asked him to keep quiet and not take any action until his mother and I have a chance to talk about everything. He was reluctant, but eventually promised to stay silent. Right now, I'm sitting here, torn about what to do. Part of me wants to turn into a detective and uncover more information about the affair. I want to know how long it's been going on and gather any other details to minimize the chances of her trickling the truth. The other part of me is itching to confront her as soon as she gets home. She'll definitely sense that something is wrong, but I'm leaning towards detective mode for now, until I gather enough evidence to eventually confront her. What are your thoughts? She'll be back within an hour from her supposed yoga class, which feels like a total farce. Honestly, I'm lost in dealing with this double betrayal, and my heart feels shattered into a million pieces, covered in filth. That's how terrible I feel. A few years ago, a friend of mine, whose username I can't recall now, received some excellent advice here, and things eventually worked out well for him. I'm hoping for a similar outcome, so I genuinely appreciate your input. Thanks. For the past week since D-Day, I've been pretending to be oblivious. I got tested for STDs and have been trying to piece together how long this affair has been happening. So far, I've managed to trace it back as far as 8 years, and the deeper I dig, the more it hurts. It's utterly unbelievable that my wife, who is my life and soul, and my brother, my best friend and idol, would do this to me. My son has withdrawn and barely speaks to anyone. It's evident to everyone that something is amiss with both of us, but I've managed to maintain a sense of calm for now. I've consulted with a lawyer and explained the situation. In Australia, it's a no-fault system, which could be challenging if the split isn't amicable, but I'm hoping for the best. Emotionally, I'm in so much pain that words can't capture it. I never truly understood the agony of betrayal until now. This double betrayal has shattered my ability to trust anyone ever again. The 2 people I expected to have my back stabbed me in the back. How does one even begin to deal with that? Our marriage seemed perfect. We rarely fought, and when we did, we resolved things through communication. Until D-Day, our bed life was satisfying. We're both attractive and in good shape, and I've always gone the extra mile to provide a good life for my family. Everyone, including myself, believed we were the ideal couple. It wasn't a facade. I genuinely thought I had a flawless life and wife. Now my world has crumbled before my eyes. My life as I knew it has been shattered. How does one even start the healing process? To be honest, I'm not coping well. Regarding my wife suspecting anything, I've managed to convince her that work is the source of my distress. They've met up twice since D-Day, and I came close to confronting her the second time she went to be with him. I'm also plagued by the fear that some or all of my children might not be biologically mine. I decided to take a day off from work to dig deeper into the length of their affair. They've been sending emails from private accounts all these years, which actually made it easier for me to read everything. Finding the private email address was a bit tricky, but since I have some tech savviness, I eventually located it. Surprisingly, guessing the password wasn't that tough, which I find rather sloppy on their part. From what I pieced together, their affair began when my wife was pregnant with our first child, a whopping 14 years ago. I remember her drive being off the charts back then, and it seems my brother noticed and took advantage of it. The affair started with them crossing a line. My brother flirted, hinting at wanting closeness all the time, and she joked about how I wasn't satisfying her enough. From there, things escalated quickly, and within a month of discussions, they were deep into a physical affair, which later evolved into an emotional affair, eventually leading to the birth of my son. My scoundrel of a brother has 5 children from 3 different wives, and they all got along well with my kids. It breaks my heart that they'll also suffer because of this double betrayal. Some might wonder about my brother's marital history during their affair. Well, he had 3 kids with his first wife, with whom he had the longest relationship. If memory serves me right, they were together for 12 years after marrying young. Then he had a child with his second wife. But that marriage didn't last long, maybe around 3 years, I think. His last child was with his third wife, who was quite wild. They tied the knot due to her pregnancy, which my brother believed was a form of treatment by her. Unfortunately, that marriage also didn't last long, and he married his fourth wife, whom I genuinely cared for like a sister. Sadly, she passed away shortly after their divorce was finalized, which shook my brother up quite a bit. I won't bore you with the nitty-gritty of their discussions, but it seems all of my brother's failed marriages were a result of him being in love with my wife. He often kept his distance and was emotionally distant from his wives due to the affair's nature. I can't fathom how my wife could deceive me the way she did. At least my brother had the decency to divorce his wives. But why couldn't she just leave me? I suppose she's just more selfish and didn't want to lose us as a family. Perhaps that's something she needs to figure out on her own during individual counseling. Anyway, I've got the proof I needed. I made a conscious choice not to read any emails that might reveal the paternity of my kids. To me, they're all mine, no question about it. My wife will be back soon, and my plan is to confront her with specific emails I've printed out. Honestly, I'm not sure how I'm going to handle this. Wish me luck. I'm seething with anger, and I'm uncertain about my actions. I'm contemplating whether it's a good idea to confront both of them together. The thought crossed my mind to have them both there when I addressed the situation. Perhaps getting closure from both simultaneously? What do you folks think? Should I involve my son in this confrontation? I'm brainstorming the best way to approach her, and your input would mean a lot. Update. I can't believe how brazen they were during their affair. At one point, they had the audacity to engage in intimate activities while we were all under the same roof. The mental images of all the things they might have done while I was around drive me absolutely insane. I can picture them getting frisky at the dinner table or having a quick rendezvous during our family vacations. How could she do this to me? To us? Strangely, I'm beginning to feel somewhat indifferent towards my brother already. I'm ready to sever ties with him, to be honest. But when it comes to my wife, we have a different kind of bond. I'm not sure if I'm prepared to let her go, but after every disturbing mental image, it feels like ammunition for me to make the tough decision to walk away from her. But what about our kids? I found out just 10 days ago that my wife of 6 years was unfaithful. This is an absolute mess. I just sent the email to everyone. Dear family, it pains me to inform you that my brother and wife have been engaged in a long-term affair for over a decade. I recently discovered this affair, and it has deeply impacted our household. My wife and I are heading for divorce. There's no way around it. I apologize for being the bearer of unfortunate news during this holiday season, but this is the reality we face. I've spoken with my brother and wife, expressing my desire to cut ties with both of them, which is more painful than words can describe. I never imagined this could happen, especially from my own family and my wife, but I guess life throws curveballs. I'm not sure how to cope with all this, or how best to navigate the situation. I hope this year's Christmas gathering won't be marred by the discovery of their affair. I'm still looking forward to it and can't wait to see all of you. And to address a question, I had my business established before we met, and I purchased everything, house, cars, etc., before we got married. I took precautions to protect my assets, so there was no need for a prenup. Update. Things have taken quite an intense turn since I shared the news with my family. I decided to break the news to my parents face to face right after sending that email. Their reactions were a mix of complete shock and deep disappointment in my brother and wife. My mother even shed some tears, blaming herself for not raising us better. My dad and I assured her it wasn't her fault. Meanwhile, all my siblings were upset with my brother and wife. To make matters worse, it turns out my brother had made advances towards another brother's wife. She had kept it a secret to avoid causing trouble between the brothers, but my revelation gave her the opportunity to finally tell her husband. Let's just say he was furious, paid my scumbag brother a visit, and gave him a couple of slaps. Thankfully, my brother's wife and her parents were there to prevent things from escalating further. All my family members have expressed their wish for my scumbag brother and soon-to-be ex-wife not to attend our Christmas gathering this year. So it appears they've been ostracized by the family. Wife's parents were deeply embarrassed and offered their sincerest apologies on behalf of their daughter. I assured them it wasn't their fault and that they would always have a place in my heart. They're welcome in my home anytime, as I genuinely care for them. Even her siblings were apologetic, although it turns out one of them knew about the affair. I guess I won't be having much to do with her. My parents advised both my brother and wife to take a break from everyone and everything for at least a couple of weeks to let everyone enjoy the festive season without any drama. They were initially hesitant but eventually agreed. So, as it stands, everyone has been incredibly supportive of me. The Christmas gathering is still happening. My wife and scumbag brother are leaving for Vanuatu in a few days, returning after the new year. We've made arrangements with family members to help each other out with the kids while they're away. I'll worry about the divorce after the new year. For now, I just want to spend time with my family. Surprisingly, I'm feeling happy despite everything I've been through. My house is already bustling with my kids' cousins, some of my siblings, and their spouses. We're all having a great time, and although I have my moments, I'm thankful that D-Day happened around this time of the year. The weather is pleasant, the kids are happily spending time together and causing some chaos, and us adults are sharing laughs. I'm glad that hasn't changed. Is it weird that I feel sorry for my wife and my scumbag brother? Honestly, I don't know why I feel that way, but I hope they can work through their issues in Vanuatu and confront their demons on their own. Overall, I think things are going to be okay. As for my kids, my oldest son still wants nothing to do with his mother, but the younger ones are sad that she won't be around for Christmas. Although they understand what she did, I'm glad they still love her, because I wouldn't want them to grow up hating their mother. Update. As for my wife and the other man, I won't refer to him as my brother anymore. They've taken off for Vanuatu. We're maintaining minimal contact, primarily for the sake of the kids. Regarding my business, my parents had a small business set up in a secure trust for me before I even met my wife. After getting married, she and I made sure to keep our finances completely separate. We don't have any joint accounts or anything like that. I spend my money on what I want, and she does the same with her money. We're both financially well off independently, though I'm more well off, mainly because of my business. However, I do provide for my family for the most part. As far as the divorce goes, I don't foresee much conflict. Wife has expressed that she doesn't want anything from me and doesn't feel entitled to any of my assets. She also has no involvement in my business. I'm willing to fight if she decides otherwise, but she's well aware that she's not in a position of power. It would be futile for her to challenge me in a divorce. An amicable divorce would be in the best interest of everyone, especially the kids. We've decided to wait until after the new year to discuss how we want to proceed. Until then, I plan to indulge in some delicious holiday feasting to regain some of the weight I lost since discovering the affair. Christmas food always gets me excited. Update. Man, my life has really taken a nosedive. Just when things were starting to look up, they've gone in the opposite direction, and I've got no one to blame but myself. First off, sorry for going MIA over the past few months. I took your advice about divorcing my soon-to-be ex-wife and tried to do some damage control. We all went to individual therapy, I worked on self-improvement, and focused on the kids. So, on that front, things are somewhat okay. The kids are hanging in there, and I was too up until recently. Now we're just waiting for the 12-month separation period to wrap up, and then the divorce will be finalized. Luckily, I get to keep the house. and we've agreed that I'll have primary custody of the kids to minimize disruption in their lives. She can visit them whenever since she's not too far away, and she's financially stable, so our lawyers didn't tear each other apart. I've been hitting the gym like crazy, and I'm in the best shape of my life. For the first time since this mess started, things were feeling good. I even went on a couple of semi-dates, thanks to my sister playing matchmaker, and while they didn't lead to much more than a kiss, it boosted my self-esteem. Now here's where I royally messed up. The dirtbag who was involved with soon-to-be ex-wife, I refuse to call him my brother anymore, decided he wanted out of this whole mess. So he took off backpacking in Asia in February, initially for a month, but now it's been 2 and he's in no rush to return. Good riddance. Fast forward to last month. Soon-to-be ex-wife came over when the kids were away for the weekend at their cousin's place. I knew it was a bad idea to see her when the kids weren't home, but I let her in to talk. Against my better judgment, we had a few drinks, and one thing led to another. Long story short, we ended up having the best closeness I've ever had. Now, before you jump down my throat, I didn't give in easily. She practically had to force herself onto me, even though I initially refused. But once she got going, well, I couldn't resist. I hadn't had sex in months, and she's incredibly attractive, cut me some slack. Since then, we've been having secret no-strings closeness every other day. My therapist calls it hysterical bonding. I call it a huge mistake because it's messing with my recovery. Then, to top it all off, last night, my soon-to-be ex-wife dropped a bombshell. She's pregnant with my child. She wants to keep the baby if all goes well. Now, what the heck do I do? To make matters worse, even though the closeness is mind-blowing, I'm torn emotionally about having her in my life beyond just co-parenting. One thing's for sure, I'm not taking her back, no way. But I'm stuck in this weird limbo. How do I move forward now that we're expecting another child together? How do I deal with the fact that we're bed buddies and I can't seem to resist her? Could this turn into a relationship? She's toxic, but she's like a drug I can't quit. Dang it, I feel like such an idiot. Update. I'll be accompanying her to the doctor's appointment first thing on Tuesday. At the moment, we're caught up in the Anzac day-long weekend with our families. So far, no one else is aware of the alleged pregnancy. She's absolutely certain that the child is mine, stating she hasn't been with anyone else, and I'm the Prince of the USA, LOL. Can we determine my paternity from the conception date? Regardless, I'm leaning toward believing she is indeed pregnant, and that I'm the father. It's causing me anxiety, but I'd rather prepare for the worst-case scenario so I can find relief if it turns out to be a lie, or be ready to cope if it's true. Regarding the DNA of my already born children, I'm still not concerned about whether they're biologically mine or not. They are my children, and no DNA test will ever change that. Update. No way I'm getting back with her, even if she claims to be pregnant. Today's a significant day. We're off to the doctor in a few hours. I'll be sure to provide an update once we're back. I could really use some guidance on a matter that doesn't revolve around infidelity. This past weekend was one of the most bewildering and emotionally challenging weekends I've ever experienced. While we were all together, celebrating Anzac Day with our families, I stumbled upon a distressing situation involving my eldest son. He was making out with his cousin, other man's oldest daughter from his first marriage. How does a father react to seeing something like that? Well, for obvious reasons, I lost it and asked them what the heck was going on. My son said, "If it's okay for Jen's dad, other man, to hang with my mom, then it's okay for us to do it too." I was at a loss for words, and I'm still genuinely shocked that this is unfolding right in front of me. It seems like our therapy isn't making the progress I had hoped for, and I'm feeling like a terrible parent. I can't help but wonder what they've been up to during all those sleepovers. Honestly, if it were with someone unrelated, I might be more okay with it. But the fact that they're cousins adds a complicated layer. It's clear that my son is using our troubled marriage to justify this strange situation. I'm at a loss for what to do or say to them. How do I put an end to this? Nobody else is aware of their relationship, and today my focus is on the upcoming doctor's appointment. I felt the need to remind them that I'm not the enemy here. I was just as devastated by the affair as they were, perhaps even more so. It did manage to calm him down a bit, but we haven't revisited the topic since. We agreed to talk about it later. It's bewildering that I didn't see this developing under my own roof, but then again, my wife managed to deceive me for more than a decade without my suspicions. I was in a happier place not too long ago, but now I'm overwhelmed with depression, confusion, and inner turmoil. I can't help but wonder why all of this is happening to me and what I might have done to deserve it. Update. I want to make it clear that I am absolutely certain I'm the father, due to the timeline of conception. I won't delve into too many details, but given the timing, there's no possibility of anyone else being involved during the conception period. After learning that I'm going to be a father again, I'll admit I wasn't thrilled. What followed was a significant mistake on my part. This cheating witch and I had a major argument, and it escalated to me pushing her against a wall. Fortunately, she wasn't hurt, but I feel terrible about my actions. I want to emphasize that I've never done something like this before, and I never will. I strongly oppose domestic issues. However, it's crucial to understand the circumstances that led to this incident. Here's a condensed version of the conversation we had after the doctor's visit, heavily abridged. Her, why haven't you said anything all this time? During the drive home, I remained silent. Me, I've been thinking about the future. Her, well, me, right now I don't want to discuss it, I need a nap. Her, you could at least try to show some excitement. This is your child, after all. Me, for heaven's sake, how can you expect me to be thrilled about this? I'm still trying to process your affair, and now this. I'd be more excited if you decided to terminate the pregnancy because we're not in the right place to bring a child into the world. Her, I'm having this child, and you're going to help me raise it, okay? Don't be a coward. Take responsibility for your child. Me, a lot of swearing and shouting. How can you lecture me about being a coward and taking responsibility when you were involved with another man while married to me? Go to heck. Her, crying. How can you say this after all the fun we've been having lately? This child is supposed to be a fresh start for us. Me, I interrupted her. So you planned this? Her, of course I did. What's wrong with a wife who regrets her actions trying to start over with her husband? Me, other man was right. First of all, I'm not your husband anymore. If we're going to raise this child together, it's only as co-parents, not as husband and wife. Her, so is this how you really see me? You treat me like some piece of meat, and I may have messed up, but I don't deserve this. Who are they? Who have you been talking to? Me, you know that's not what I meant, and it's none of your business. Her, interrupted me. I don't care what you meant. If you want to go through with the divorce, I swear I'll make sure to take you to the cleaners. The rest is a blur, and I lost control, as I mentioned earlier. We eventually reconciled. Reading my own words and replaying the conversation in my head makes me realize how toxic this relationship has become and how powerless I feel against her. It wasn't always like this, and I feel like such a fool. To make matters worse, during our reconciliation, I might have inadvertently revealed my online posts without specifying the site. I genuinely hope she doesn't stumble upon this website and find this thread. It would cause a major upheaval. Well, because of that incident, she's got some leverage over me if I decide to move forward with the divorce. I can't speak for everyone, but here in Australia, we take domestic issues toward pregnant women very seriously. I'd find myself in quite a mess if I don't at least give this marriage another shot. So even though I'm not entirely convinced and I feel a bit pressured, I'm actually considering giving our relationship another try, or maybe just delaying the divorce until she's in a better frame of mind. Now, let's talk about my son, and this is really stressing me out. I'm in desperate need of some advice on this one. Here's the conversation I had with him the other day. Me, so, you want to have a chat about something? Him, talk about what? Me, let's not make this more awkward than it needs to be, buddy. You know what I'm getting at. Him, I've had feelings for her and cared about her for as long as I can remember. Me, she's your first cousin. In what world is it acceptable to have a relationship with your cousin? Him, why is it considered so wrong, Dad? It's just society that labels it as such. It feels right between us, and Mom's affair has made me think these things can happen among relatives. Me, you can't use your mother's affair as an excuse to have a relationship with your cousin. That's just not right. Him, answer my question, Dad. Why is it wrong for me to be with my cousin? In some cultures, people marry their cousins too, and you don't see anyone saying anything, so why should it be different for us? Me, a bit hesitant. Well, have you thought about how others might react? Do you believe everyone at your school and our entire family will be okay with it? Him, I honestly don't care what others think, Dad. I'm a straight A student, which is true, and I don't cause any trouble for you and Mom, also true. I'm just happy that I finally have the confidence to express my true feelings. Me. You're still very young, and you're going through a lot right now. Maybe this isn't the right time to get involved with someone, especially since you're feeling so vulnerable. Him. What do you mean by that? Me. Well, what if this relationship is just a way for you to cope with everything you're dealing with? What if you're unintentionally leading your cousin on, and when you've healed from your pain, you end up breaking her heart? Him. Dad, I've had these feelings for her for years. This affair has only given me the courage to act on them. The fact that she feels the same way makes everything seem perfect. I'm upset about Mom and the other man, no doubt, but at least something positive came out of their affair. I love her so much, Dad. I've never felt like this before. She's been helping me cope really well with everything. Me. I have noticed you've been happier than usual despite everything going on. Well, I don't know what to say. I'm certainly not okay with this, and we definitely need to talk with everyone about it. Are you at least having safe contact with her? Him. Seriously, Dad? Me. Yeah, seriously. I just don't want you to repeat the same mistake I made. Him. Hold on, what do you mean by that? After that, I had to admit to him that I slapped her because he started to think I was calling him a mistake. As a dad, I have to admit, it's the most sickening feeling I've ever had. Then my son dropped a bombshell saying, "We both prefer going without protection, but we're usually safe." So, any parents out there, what do I tell my son about all this? He's a smart kid and has rarely given me any trouble during his teenage years, except for this. He was a bit of a handful when he was younger. I feel powerless once again as a father. This whole situation is just crazy. Honestly, I can't blame anyone for thinking my life is unreal. Heck, sometimes I don't even believe it myself. Or at least I wish I didn't. I had a good laugh at the Ryan Gosling reference. Thanks for that, SJS. I need some humor in my life to help ease the depression I'm going through right now. You know what's the worst part, Reddit? If I were an outsider like you, I'd probably be giving myself the same advice that you're all offering. I guess being directly involved in this situation makes a difference because I'm emotionally invested and have a lot at stake, but it speaks volumes about the kind of vulnerable and powerless person I am. Failing as a husband and a father is the most painful realization, and it's tearing me apart.